I would love to see more questions of Anthony Fauci along those lines, but very few reporters get access to him. And those who do don't go there. Now, I will credit Dan Diamond of the Washington Post, who just did an interview with Fauci and asked him about one of the subjects nobody wants to talk about, which is why the hell Fauci just gave Peter Daszak at EcoHealth Alliance another $600,000 plus grant. And really it's a $3.3 million grant, but it has to be renewed each year. So right now it's over $600,000. This is the group that did gain of function research in Wuhan, China with the so-called bat lady. Peter Daszak's the one who did it. And then crazily, the WHO put him on their commission to investigate the origins of COVID. Was it from a lab? Do you think we're going to get an honest answer from Peter Daszak, or was it from a market? Do we have that soundbite? We pulled it from the 60 Minutes piece. Do we have it, team? Yeah, okay. Well, watch. Just to refresh your memory, here's a little bit of what happened when Peter Daszak got featured on a 60 Minutes piece a year plus ago.
I'm on the WHO team for a reason. And, if you're going to work in China on coronaviruses and try and understand their origins, you should involve the people who know the most about that. And for better or for worse, I do.
He says the team did look into the leak theory during a visit with lab scientists and deemed it extremely unlikely.
We met with them. We said, do you audit the lab? And they said, annually. Did you audit it after the outbreak? Yes. Was anything found? No. Do you test your staff? Yes. No.
But you're just taking their word for it.
Well, what else can we do? There's a limit to what you can do. And we went right up to that limit. We asked them tough questions. They weren't vetted in advance. And the answers they gave, we found to be believable, correct, and convincing.
But weren't the Chinese engaged in a cover-up? They destroyed evidence. They punished scientists who were trying to give evidence on this very question of the origin.
Well, that wasn't our task, to find out if China had covered up the origin issue.
No, I know. I'm just saying, doesn't that make you wonder?
We didn't see any evidence of any false reporting or cover-up in the work that we did in China.
What a shock. He investigated himself and found no wrongdoing, Gad. Now we've just given him more money, and Dan Diamond asked Fauci about it. Okay, here was his response as to why he did it. Well, you can't arbitrarily decide. I just don't want to fund EcoHealth because people don't like them, he added, saying that he has an open mind about the possibility of a lab leak, but believes that there is far more evidence that the virus was a natural occurrence, a narrative he's been pushing from the beginning, and was first transmitted to a human from an animal. Again, Gad, even though they've tested 80,000 animals and have yet to find one that's got this strain. So Fauci continues on and on. When asked if he's become a polarizing figure, he says, well, when I say I should get vaccinated, that we should get vaccinated because it saves lives, and someone says no, am I the polarizing figure? Or is it the person who's saying something that's completely untrue who's creating the polarization? He'll never admit the truth. He'll never come clean, and he will continue funding this kind of research until, I don't know, House Republicans make him stop. I don't know.
Right. So a couple of things. Number one, one of the most difficult things to make a human do is to admit that they are wrong or to alter their opinion on something. As a matter of fact, there's a great book, a somewhat academic book, that basically argues that our ability to reason did not evolve to seek truth, but rather to win arguments, right? I mean, it's a compelling theory because it basically speaks to Fauci's weaknesses, right? I mean, there is no amount of evidence that might come that might allow him to exhibit some epistemic humility. If we just backtrack to when you asked me about Tom and Giselle, if you remember, I began by saying, well, we're going to enter into speculative land there, right? Why did I say that? Because as a actual scientist who has epistemic humility, I know what I know and I know what I don't know. I mean, as a matter of fact, that's what Confucius says is true wisdom, right? Many, many thousands of years ago. So the problem with Fauci is that he's never exhibited that kind of epistemic humility. He's always come in with the full assuredness of his white lab coat, his God complex, and that has led us down some very, dark policy-making decisions. And so I think you had alluded before we went on the break that there is a expression in Arabic that I've introduced on another show. I can maybe mention it here. The Arabic expression is طلعت ريحته, which basically means his smell is coming out. Which what it's supposed to capture is when someone overstays their welcome, right? So for example, if you invite some people to dinner at your house, and it's expected that probably by about 10 o'clock people start leaving because you have young children and so on, and if you start giving them all sorts of cues that maybe it's time to pack it in, and now it's 12:30 and they're still there, in Arabic you would say طلعت ريحته, his smell is coming out. Well, there is nobody in the world who has ever exuded more of a metaphorical, pungent smell than Fauci. The guy has been in office since Baruch Spinoza was a philosopher in the 16th century. So maybe it's time for you to leave, man.
One of our sponsors today is Donors Trust, the principled, tax-friendly way to simplify your charitable giving. Cancel culture does not just affect comedians and commentators anymore. It also affects everyday, hardworking Americans. How so? It can derail their charitable giving. Take Jeannie's story, for example. Jeannie did her charitable giving through one of these big national donor-advised fund providers. That is, until, without a clear reason, it refused to send her charitable dollars to a conservative nonprofit. This is happening more and more. Jeannie shares her story this way. I'm a conservative. I believe America's great despite her imperfections, and that capitalism brings great good to society rather than government, she said. Earlier this year, I requested another gift from my donor-advised fund, and it was rejected. Jeannie wanted a donor-advised fund that shares her conservative principles, and she found it in Donors Trust, the oldest and largest donor-advised fund committed to limited government, personal responsibility, and free enterprise. Imagine that. Do you want a principled partner helping you support causes close to your heart, one that's not judging you all the time and imposing their values on your donations? If so, consider opening a donor-advised fund with Donors Trust. For more information on how Donors Trust can help you with your charitable giving, visit donorstrust.org/MK to receive a free copy of their donor prospectus. That's DONORS trust.org/MK. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.